Howdy folks, this is Tom Barbalet. I'm going to do what I'm going to call a coding ride-along. Yes, not based on the film, but just based on the concept. So recently I've adapted some of the Windows code. This is Windows, the operating system. You may remember it back in the day. And the one part that is lacking is threading. So I used to implement Windows threads, and I've just grabbed this page as a reminder of how to do it. But I need to create a kind of generic thread interface for the two locations that do threading in Noble Ape. I'm going to implement just the Mac side of this, which is just an alteration. To allow for it, I'm obviously going to have to explicitly program the Windows side. So, this is the extent of the threading code. It's in two autonomous places. I actually cleaned the code up a little bit last night, maybe preemptively for this work. So obviously we have the header definition in both cases. We have the definition of the thread specifically in both cases. I think I use it's identical format in both cases. And then we have the exit, which may or may not be necessary actually. I think maybe just returning whatever is equivalent, but in this case, as I'll show, we're going to genericize this. So we can add the Windows threading capabilities. And I think it's relatively simple. I might clean up the headers and this interaction a little bit in a bit, but just for now I just wanted to show how I'm going to change this. Now I have thought about actually unifying these threading, just having like an IO thread interface, or maybe execute thread, something like that. And back in the day I did implement a generic thread interface for a company that I consulted with. Very large PSV line, it's just jumped up on the chair. But in this circumstance, I thought it was probably better, and just jumped off the chair, because it's only in two locations, just to genericize it for the Windows implementation. So what we're looking to do here is to change the interface for pthread create, ideally. We'll probably just add the Windows version here too, but more importantly, make this interface generic, because if we go back to the doc, you'll see that the very elaborately named myThread function returns quite differently and has a different interface basically. So it'll just be easier to wrap the two functions within this and make the functions generic. So there'll be a Windows version, there'll be a POSIX version. So here specifically, it's basically the same interface. So I'll start with this one because it seems to be the easiest. And what I'm going to do is just change the name for ease. So this will become pthread POSIX, and if folks want to know, my typing is so good, POSIX is the kind of generic Unix Mac interface. Not that one, this one. And I might as well do the same. I might do them in parallel actually. So this one, execute thread, similarly execute thread, POSIX, and luck. Execute thread, here we go, POSIX. Might even try that. This is so easy, I might even try the Windows implementation too. Okay, so let's make this generic. This is a pretty big thread. So what this thread does is this is the execute thing. So this is basically loads a function, and when it's done, it creates up the function, it goes through and sees if everything's idle, and if everything's idle, then it just says execution cycle. So what we're going to do here is create a static void. Why don't we call it execute thread generic? Execute thread generic. And this will just pass through basically. So take all this out. This is the bit that distinguishes it from. And put this here. And put this here. Where are we? So that will work with that. And that cleans up a bit, and that means that what will happen is we will use the execute thread generic, the execute POSIX. We probably need to do a little windowing somewhere. So ideally up here, we will remove that because we're now adding Windows-specific threading, and we'll probably need to do some beautification associated with this. Execute thread. If what is it? That's the if def Windows, then do this, else, and I'm actually going to, because I'm feeling in a good mood, stop some of this code and so what headers are we looking like up here? Teacher, these all just seem like, none of these actually look like shoot that I'm going to be using. But anyway, let's put it there. There's a thing there. Mission code. Readability is at all-time low. Okay. Yeah, not sure what tab or what. Let's just make it a bit more readable. And then down here, we don't want to see any of that POSIX nastiness for Windows. So here we'll just create a thread function. If def Windows, else, and if. Similarly, let's go down a bit. Oh, here we are. Got one more place to do this, though. Just else, and if. If. So that's 1, 2, and this is the third part. Can I be smart about this? Can I be smart about this? Not really. This is exactly the Windows idea, just make everything look nice and nasty to implement their own specific threading. That's the wrong way. Okay. So we got that stuff stopped. P-threads. Okay, let's try and implement this Windows POSIX stuff. Okay. Well, you're doing it backwards, that's why you're finding it like that. H thread array handle. This has to be cleaned up somewhere. Oh, boy. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Static. Yada. Let's make it nice. Oops. I don't even think I have a clean up here because it doesn't need it. Yeah, the beautiful thing about this is it's all static. It doesn't need any cleanup. Oh, here we are. Well, the problem with this is it's just closing everything off. So just dumping everything out. So in order to implement Windows, I'm going to have to add an additional thread state for the cleanup in this case. Well, how boring is that? Let's look at this. Yep, Microsoft screws you again. Okay, I guess I implement the cleanup. So we're going to add a state indicating it's cleaned up. So that's just for the add. Yeah, I've got to add a state here indicating that it's cleaned up. Okay, goes through this, goes through this, goes through this. Add the state here. Is this any good? Yes, it is. Equals, yes, close. Why has it not? Why has it not added this? And we got to wait on the closing. Where is this actually? What else has it got on? So yeah, I'm gonna have to do 2 of these. Valuable milliseconds. The thing on the Mac is that it has this thing called bad food, which means that if it's waiting around too long, it kicks up a stink. I guess you just got to do it that way. Yeah, be smart about this and passing the handle here and clean up its stuff. Oh well. Okay, it looks like we're waiting here. So, let's put a negation in there just to make it even more hokey. Okay. So, start assuming all at closed is false, loop through, and wait until it's completed. Oh. Okay, Windows, you've gotten your fun. And then actually, honestly, because this is only required for Windows, I'm only putting it in for Windows. Yeah. Yeah. Schmucks. Okay. The joys. Oh, this just becomes so heinously disgusting. I can use loop further down to do the cleanup as well. And then let's get back to this. Nope, there's a little bit of a lockstep. There we go. So there's the Windows requirement and all its timeless goodness. Okay, so let's go back to the document and actually create the thread. I'm going to create a thread, create thread. Let's change this up. Okay, that's complete. Thread identifier. Yeah, what is the thread identifier used for? Yeah, I don't see any practical use of this identifier. Malarkey. I don't know. Let's just create a Windows required thread ID. Well, actually increment it. Actually increment it. Okay. We can do that too. Okay. If you've gotten this far and you think I'm disrespecting Windows operating system, you might be right. Okay. There you go. Okay, now we just gotta do this, which will be... Okay. Wow. Is that close? Okay. Okay. I'd like to call it static. I can't imagine having any problems with that. I'm not really clear what this insanity does, but it doesn't matter. I'll just do it to be nice and generic. This is just a string. Look at all this fun, just to do one thing. You know, I'm going to test out this Windows code first. I'm not going to subject double implementation, double failure here. Okay, I think that is it for this coding drive along. I suspect I have been relatively aggressive with Windows. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna whittle those headers down. But well, let's just test the regular Mac version still runs with all these exciting changes. That seems very promising. Ta-da! We have the Noble Ape simulation running on the Mac. Okay, party people. I think that has been all. Goodbye.